Hello my friends, it's Gabriel with the Last Huntsman Outdoors here. And here we are doing kind of the Clash of the Titans here. This is my big knife Showdown. Here this part is going to be part one of the introduction. I'm just going to introduce to you guys all the different large knives I got going here. I'm going to kind of give you guys some general basic specs on them so you guys kind of know what I'm going up against, and I'm going to throw out a few caveats here. Right off the bat, every knife here is a great knife. I actually suggest every single knife here. I only have 5 knives that I'm going to be throwing into this Showdown. One, just because that's really all I got. And another caveat is I know a lot of people all the time, anytime I do any of these Showdowns, are always going to be like, well, why didn't you add this one? Or why didn't you add that one? Well, probably because I don't have that knife, to be frank. And I don't have the dispensable or the I don't have dispensable income anymore that I could just buy every knife that I look at. So, you know, I gotta do what I do here and work with what I got. So we'll be going over some of these knives that's going to be in this Showdown. And while I have one here, I might as well just kind of go over it, kind of talk about some of the basic specs and stuff. And we'll be kind of discussing many things throughout this series on like how they chop, how they perform, function, and even price and value, and the sheath that comes with them, how they baton, many other things. So one I have here is the Terava Skrama 240. Roughly about a 9-inch blade. This is the thinnest one here. It's only about 5/32 thick, made of 80 CRV2, and it has that kind of Scandi saber grind hybrid here. So some people kind of don't like that grind, and generally I don't either, but for whatever reason on these Teravas it actually works pretty good, and I was very impressed with this knife when I used it with my twin brother that helped me out with the review. Now, as you can see, it has a couple position handle. It has kind of like a part that you kind of choke up on, and it has like a second whole part that you can choke back on and get some chopping. And something else to note, that this one has a hidden tang and with a rubberized overmolded handle. This is the only one of the list that has that. And the sheath that it comes with is kind of this leather sheath with kind of a plastic insert, so it does kind of clip in. Let's go to the next one here. Now, I have to throw out a shout out to Jacob Peterson, he formerly known as the Preppers Bunkers Outdoors, but it's now Jacob Peterson for his YouTube channel, and the owner of Exodus Knife and Tool. He lended this one to me to use for the Showdown because he's been highly suggesting this knife, and I usually take his suggestions pretty thoroughly, just because he's used knives so much that usually if he's suggesting something, it's a good suggestion. This is the Mineral Mountain Hatchet Works Bullnoser. This thing is just a chunk of steel. It's a 1/4 inch thick. It's 5160 steel, and it's just a heavy bolo kind of style blade. Now, I think if I recall right, he said that the original factory sheath wasn't like too whoop-de-doo, so he has this Black Bear custom Kydex here for it, and this sheath is actually pretty nice. Now this thing, even though it has not been out very long, it has already become quite a legendary blade in its own way, and I think it has sold out anytime they have a drop on it, and that is the Work Tuff Gear V44X. Now, I've had a handful of different Work Tuff Gear large knives, but I will say that this is my favorite one. One, just because the cosmetics of it, it feels and looks just awesome. But two, just the function of it. It's a big chunky knife, but yet it's not so heavy that it couldn't perform as like a decent, just large combat knife, honestly. It has a choil on it, which I think this is the only one that actually came with a choil. I'll show you a different one in just a moment here. But V44X, it's a SK85 steel, 9-inch blade or so. Overall, it's kind of about the same size as the BK9, which is on this list as well. We'll determine how good it is as we test these. But yeah, there's the V44X, and it does come with a Kydex sheath, and of course I mounted like a shoulder strap on it. Now, while we're talking Bowie knives, here I have the Becker BK9. Now this knife here is probably one of the smallest of this whole list here, but time and time again, I have seen the Becker BK9 outperform its weight class by a long shot, and I think a lot of it is just due to the handle ergonomics. But we're going to be testing it out. It's about 3/16 thick, 1095 Crovan, just that awesome, amazing Becker ergonomics. But yeah, now I will say I do not have the factory sheath for it, and that's going to be an entirely different can of worms as we get to the sheath portion of this showdown. But I do have this, I think it was like a Valhalla Customs Kydex here, but this is the sheath I have for the BK9. And last but not least, and you guys got a glimpse of it already, the Esee Junglas. Now I will say that I do have some aftermarket scales on here. These are the Lucas Carroll custom grips. These are his Dymilux grips, which I probably end up giving these away. I got a set of G10s I'm going to put on here, I think, to match my SE6. But awesome knife. This one has, I think it's like a 10 or 11-inch blade, and 3/16 thick. It's of Esee's Rowan heat treated 1095, which I've always found has been an awesome steel. Now on mine, as you can see, I kind of put my own custom choil on there, which does work out pretty good. And the sheath is a Kydex sheath. This is the original factory Esee Kydex sheath, which I've never felt the need to replace it. But this is the introduction to the Big Knife Showdown. Stay tuned. We'll be getting into some of the other testing in future videos.